Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. We're coming to you on the Mike Francesa channel on the Bet Rivers Network on YouTube after a dramatic Yankee win. And once again, it is the thumper. No, not that thumper. No, not that thumper. The other guy, and that is, of course, the guy who has had a enormous history of it, and that being Giancarlo Stanton, who tonight had 3 hits, including a home run. We know all the numbers now. If you listen to me from the day Stanton got here, I have never liked the configuration of the Yankees with multiple DHs, with guys who always get hurt, with slow, unathletic players. But I have never been able to dispute the fact that Giancarlo Stanton has always been a primetime player in the pro season. His numbers have always bear that out. We've talked about it before. I mean, he has, he came into this postseason averaging a homer, I believe, every 9 point something. I think it might be 9.5 postseason at bats. The only better number in history is Babe Ruth's. Anytime you bring Babe Ruth into the sentence, it is an impressive baseball stat. That's all there is to it, because there's only one Babe Ruth. So listen, he has always gotten big hits. He hits anything that he connects with out of the ballpark. And as Judge struggles, and Soto has yet to illustrate power or exhibit power, and the Yankees were in real need of it. It was again Giancarlo who comes through. And hey, if they win it, if they get to a World Series, if they win a World Series, which is a long way off, the Yankees have a lot to do. Um, People might take a little different view of him because of his postseason prowess. We know all this stuff. He disappears for months at a time. He's always hurt, blah, blah, blah. But he has always been a wonderful postseason player, while Judge continues to struggle in the postseason. Witt has struggled in the postseason. Now, you know what was the biggest surprise to me in this game tonight? Was the fact that when Witt got the base hit off Weaver in the eighth, with Perez up, who's a very good clutch hitter, and clearly could hit a home run, although not likely if we were possible. I was shocked he didn't try to steal second, which would have led to a single that would have tied the game. I would have bet you money he was going to steal second base in that spot, or attempt to, and probably steal it considering how successful he usually is. I was very, very surprised that was the case. And you wind up wasting a Perez base hit. And just like you've seen with the Phillies, you've seen a lot of guys in the Royal lineup who have not hit. You've seen a bunch of guys in the Yankee lineup who have not hit. The Yankees have drawn an inordinate amount of walks. I mean, they always draw walks, but this Kansas City team is usually pretty good at being economical in the walk department, and they have walked the Yankees like crazy. Now, it hasn't shown up on the scoreboard, but they have walked Yankees ad infinitum throughout the series. So the Yankees now are in a commanding position. They send Cole to the mound tomorrow. They decide to go with them on regular rest, go tomorrow. They obviously will know they have the security of a game 5 back home Saturday if they lose. Try to put it away tomorrow with their ace, who you probably have more faith in than I do. You know I'm not the biggest Cole guy. Now, you have to commend the Yankee relievers. We've talked about Weaver growing into the closer role. But let's give Holmes some credit here, because he could have gone off, really gone and hid. He could have gone and really become a non-entity when he was demoted. A lot of guys have. He had a very rough season, all the blown saves, losing his job, but he has taken to being a jack of all trades reliever now who's there when you need him to be there, whether it's middle relief, whether it's the fifth inning, whether it's to get a certain guy, whether whatever it's to do. And the Yankee bullpen has been tremendous so far in this series, 13 and two thirds scoreless innings. So Weaver gets a 5 out save. He gave a couple of hits, but he gets a 5 out save. The Holmes does his job. Canley, another guy I don't love, never have, never been the biggest Canley fan. Understand he can get lefties out because of the changeup, but I don't love him. Never have. I admit this. Um, they've pitched very well out of the pen so far. It's overcome the fact that they've been in tight games. This game was very much a game that could have gone either way, and the Yankees could be taking the field tomorrow night down 2-1. They're not, which makes it a lot easier night to rest, knowing that they are coming back for game 5 no matter what. Um, if you're thinking about the next round for the Mets, the Dodgers are winning right now, which would mean game 5 on Friday. The NLCS begins Sunday night, either in San Diego or in Dodger Stadium. So the Mets will be in action Sunday night. The ALCS will begin if the Yankees are in it in New York on Monday. So that's the deal. So NLCS Sunday in California, Mets are in that. Could be San Diego, could be the Dodgers. ALCS, if the Yankees are alive, they will be home on Monday for the ALCS game 1. And if you're thinking about going to the ballpark, ALCS will be Monday and Tuesday. I'm pretty sure, top of my head, pretty sure it's Monday and Tuesday for the games 1 and 2 at Yankee Stadium. If the Yankees put it away, either today or on uh, on Saturday. If they are alive, they play Monday and Tuesday. Now, um, yes, they're getting a lot of walks. No, they are not getting a lot of hits. Okay, not scoring a lot of runs. We know that. Okay, uh, it has to get better. We know that too. Hey, that's part of the deal. Scoring in the postseason is not easy. Doing anything in the postseason is not easy. That's all there is to it. I mean, tonight 4 hits, 3 for Giancarlo. I mean, so uh, that's just the way it is. Um, it's it's tough sledding sometimes. Um, Soto's getting on base. He's just not, you know, exhibiting any power yet. Judge is continuing, clearly feeling the pressure of this. Hey, that's the way the world is set up now. That's the way the sporting world is set up. The postseason is now an enormous part of the campaign. It is no longer a best of 7 between two teams at the end of the season. It is now a month of baseball. It is a lot of games and a lot of at bats and a lot of drama. And if you do it in the regular season and you don't do it in the postseason, you get labeled. There is no worse label to have because it's wait a second. Oh, you can hit in the regular season, you can pound out all these home runs and knock in all these runs, and then you can't do a darn thing in the postseason. Hey, it's a small sampling. And as I've stated many times, you go back and look, Mickey Mantle holds most postseason records. All right, and I don't like postseason home run numbers because they should be separated from World Series home run numbers. Mantle's World Series home run numbers are still way ahead of anybody else's. He has 18 World Series home runs, not 18 postseason home runs, 18 World Series home runs. The point is, he had bad series. When the Dodgers swept the Yankees in '63, he got 2 hits. when they played the Giants in a 7-game series, both Mays and Mantle didn't hit in that series. There were series where Yogi Berra didn't hit. There were series where Joe DiMaggio didn't hit. There were even series where Babe Ruth didn't have great series. It can happen over a couple of games, but when it is carried for a couple of years and now it's over a big number of at bats, which is what you get when you play all these postseason games and you're in the postseason most years, it follows you around. And right now, it is something that Judge has to deal with. He's always going to get his walks because there are going to be situational moments where they're not going to let him beat him. That's all there is to it. But he is not getting on base from base hits. His batting average is 091, and it's not Judge like. Now, that can end in a day. We know that. It can end in one at bat, but it can also continue through the postseason. And that's just the way it is. And the Yankees have to go about their business whether they get that or not. Okay. Um, I didn't think the booing affected Chisholm at all tonight, but I thought what Chisholm did was just really silly. First of all, I don't need a lot of theatrics on home runs when they're losing in the postseason. Number two, no one made him the spokesman. And I think you do have to be careful what you say in these postseason series because it'll come back to bite you. And it will put a lot more pressure on you. Now, if he goes out and, you know, hits a couple of home runs on them while they're booing him, good for him. Tonight he didn't do that. But it just adds some pressure to you. That's all there is to it. Uh, there's always pressure in these games. There's pressure to perform. There's going to be a lasting memory about every at bat. That's just the way it is. And when you are a player who raises his game above normal play, like an El Duque, who would spend 11 weeks on the bench, I mean, on the beach in July and August, and then he'd be gone from June 1st to August 30th, come back, and then pitch a 8 inning 2-run game in the postseason. I mean, that was El Duque. He was able to do that, or be a player who performed exactly the same way, and maybe even a little better, like a Jeter who was wonderful in the regular season, but equally wonderful and extremely clutch in the postseason, or Bernie, who was an all-star, not an all-world player, but an all-star player in the regular season, but an incredibly clutch player in big spots. And that's the ones that are always remembered so fondly because that means you rise to the occasion, you're clutch, you're a winner. A Scott Brocious did that. David Wells was good in those spots. Some other guys have struggled in that spot. A-Rod, except for '09, had trouble living up to who he was in the postseason. So did Roger Clemens. So did Greg Maddux. I can go on and on and on. So it's something that will follow you. There's no question about it. But right now, the Yankees are in a commanding position. There are 2 games left. They only have to win one of them, and they have their ace on the mound uh, tomorrow night. So, hey, Kansas City would love to trade positions with them. One win, and you move on to the ALCS, and the Mets and Yankees will both be in the Final Four, and we'll be looking and inching so close, so much closer to the possibility of that Subway Series, which, as I alluded to on the last podcast, could be very different for a variety of reasons. But let's not put the cart before the horse. So, good win for the Yankees. Uh, try to wrap things up tomorrow night, and then get things in order and wait to see who they play. Uh, they will be the favorite if they're alive. They will be a solid favorite to go to the World Series. The Mets will be an underdog to go to the World Series, but I'm sure they wouldn't want it any other way. They will not be a big underdog. They will be an underdog, but they will get plenty of backing because they've been that good so far in this postseason, and I'm sure there are ample, if not an overwhelming number of people on that bandwagon right now. And why not? Because they're playing wonderful baseball. And at this moment, they have a better chance to go to the World Series than the Yankees do because they've already cashed their ticket to the NLCS and the Yankees haven't yet. Yankees still have one more game to win. So, one more step to take before we have both teams in the league championship series, which doesn't happen very often. That's for sure. You know, it is getting one there is hard enough. Getting both there, hey, doesn't happen very often at all. So, a very good time in New York from a baseball standpoint. We'll talk to you tomorrow.